Imagine this, it's the early 14th century and the city of Bursa, one of the wealthiest and most strategically significant cities in Anatolia, is under siege. The night is thick with tension as Ottoman soldiers huddle near their siege engines, awaiting the dawn's command. Among them stands a tall, broad-shouldered man with piercing eyes and a quiet but commanding demeanor. His name is Orhan Ghazi, the second Sultan of the Ottoman Empire, and he is about to change history forever. But how did Orhan Ghazi transform a small frontier principality in Anatolia into a global empire that would dominate 3 continents? Was it luck, strategy, or destiny? When Orhan inherited the reins of the Ottoman Beylik from his father Osman Ghazi, he wasn't handed an empire on a silver platter. Instead, he received a modest state in a tumultuous Anatolia, filled with competing beyliks, Byzantine remnants, and nomadic tribes. But Orhan had a vision to transform his father's dream of a unified state into a thriving power. Bursa was key to that vision. Situated at the crossroads of trade between Europe and Asia, it was both an economic jewel and a strategic fortress. However, conquering it required more than brute force. For nearly a decade, Orhan applied relentless pressure, cutting off supplies, deploying spies, and outsmarting Byzantine defenses. His patience and strategy bore fruit in 1326, when Bursa finally fell. The conquest of Bursa was a turning point, marking the first time the Ottomans controlled a major urban center. It became their new capital, a hub for administration, trade and culture. For Orhan, this victory was the first step in elevating his state from obscurity to prominence. Fast forward a few years, and Orhan is no longer just a warrior, he's a statesman. Picture him sitting in his newly constructed palace in Bursa, poring over plans with his advisors. Orhan understood something critical. Swords win battles, but institutions build empires. One of Orhan's first acts as ruler was to mint coins bearing his name. This seemingly simple act symbolized sovereignty and economic independence, projecting Ottoman authority both internally and externally. But the Sultan didn't stop there. He restructured the military, creating the Janissaries, an elite standing army trained from childhood to serve the state. This was revolutionary for the time, transforming the Ottomans from a tribal militia into a disciplined military powerhouse. Orhan's reforms extended beyond the battlefield. He established the first Ottoman madrasa, or Islamic school, in Iznik, emphasizing the importance of education and faith. This institution nurtured scholars and administrators who would serve the growing empire. He also formalized legal and administrative systems to govern the diverse population under his rule. Diplomacy was another cornerstone of Orhan's rule. In one of his most shrewd moves, he married Theodora, the daughter of Byzantine Emperor John VI Kanatukozenos. It was far more than a union of 2 individuals. It was a masterstroke of diplomacy and strategy. At the time, the Byzantine Empire was in decline, weakened by internal conflicts and external threats. The marriage occurred around 1346, during a period of civil war in the Byzantine Empire. John VI was embroiled in a power struggle against John V Palaiologos, another claimant to the Byzantine throne. Orhan supported John VI with military assistance, including Ottoman troops, in exchange for the marriage alliance. For Orhan, marrying Theodora was a calculated move that strengthened his political leverage in the region. The union symbolized a rare moment of collaboration between the Byzantine and Ottoman realms. It allowed Orhan to position himself as a key power broker in Byzantine affairs, gaining influence without direct conquest. Theodora's arrival in Bursa, the Ottoman capital, was celebrated with great pomp. Though she remained a Christian, her marriage to Orhan was a testament to his pragmatism and his vision of an inclusive empire. By marrying into the Byzantine imperial family, Orhan not only secured a temporary peace with Byzantium, but also bolstered his legitimacy in the eyes of the Christian subjects and allies. This alliance had lasting consequences. It paved the way for further Ottoman incursion into Europe, as Orhan and his successors leveraged Byzantine divisions to their advantage. Moreover, it highlighted Orhan's ability to combine diplomacy and military power to achieve his ambitions. The Janissaries were one of Orhan Ghazi's most revolutionary contributions to the Ottoman military structure. Originating during Orhan's reign, the corps represented a shift from tribal and feudal armies to a centralized professional standing force, a hallmark of a growing empire. Orhan's brother Aladdin Pasha and his trusted advisor Kara Khalil Hayreddin Pasha played pivotal roles in conceptualizing and organizing this unique military unit. The Janissaries were primarily recruited to a system known as Devshirme, which was formalized later but likely had its roots in Orhan's era. Under this system, young Christian boys from conquered territories were taken from their families, converted to Islam and rigorously trained in combat and statecraft. What set the Janissaries apart was their unwavering loyalty to the Sultan. Unlike feudal troops who owed allegiance to local lords, the Janissaries were directly under the Sultan's command. This made them not only a formidable military force, but also a counterbalance to the power of regional nobles. Their training was intense, encompassing not only martial skills, but also education in Islamic principles and administrative duties. Over time, they became more than just soldiers. They were an elite institution that symbolized Ottoman innovation. This model of a disciplined standing army inspired many contemporary and later powers across Europe and Asia. The Janissaries' initial role was to serve as the Sultan's personal guard and lead troops in battle. They soon evolved into an indispensable force for both military campaigns and internal security. For Orhan, the creation of the Janissaries ensured that the Ottoman military could meet the challenges of an expanding state while remaining loyal to the central authority. This institution would go on to shape Ottoman military and political history for centuries. The waters of the Bosphorus shimmer in the moonlight. On one side lies the familiar land of Anatolia, on the other, the enigmatic continent of Europe. For centuries, this narrow strait had been a natural barrier between civilizations. But for Orhan, it was an opportunity. By the mid-14th century, the Byzantine Empire was a shadow of its former glory, plagued by internal strife and external threats. In 1352, a Byzantine emperor sought Orhan's help to quell a rebellious noble. Orhan agreed, but he demanded something in return: control of Chimpe Castle on the Gallipoli Peninsula. This foothold in Europe was modest, a small fortress on the edge of Byzantine territory, but its significance was enormous. For the first time, the Ottomans had crossed into Europe, challenging centuries of Byzantine dominance. Chimpe Castle became a springboard for future conquest, paving the way for Ottoman expansion into Thrace, Macedonia and beyond. Orhan's decision to cross into Europe wasn't just a military gamble, it was a statement of intent. It marked the beginning of the Ottoman Empire's transformation into a transcontinental power, bringing East and West together. Every great leader faces moments of doubt, and Orhan was no exception. As his empire grew, so too did the weight of its complexities. Imagine Orhan, now an aging ruler, gazing out from the walls of Bursa, burdened by the challenges of governing an expanding realm. The Ottomans were no longer a small band of warriors fighting for survival. They were rulers of a diverse population, including Christians, Muslims and Jews. To maintain order, Orhan implemented policies of tolerance and integration. Non-Muslims were allowed to practice their faith and even serve in the administration, provided they paid a tax. This pragmatic approach earned Orhan loyalty from many of his subjects, strengthening his rule. Externally, Orhan faced constant threats from rival Turkish beyliks and remnants of the Byzantine Empire. His military prowess and strategic alliances allowed him to fend off these challenges, but they tested his resilience. Amidst these trials, Orhan suffered a personal tragedy that marked the later years of his reign. His eldest son and heir, Suleiman Pasha, died in 1357 during a military campaign. Suleiman had been a brilliant commander and Orhan's most trusted confidant. His death left a void not just in Orhan's heart, but also in the future of the empire. The aging Sultan carried on, but the weight of his responsibilities grew heavier. By the time he passed away in 1362, Orhan had transformed the Ottomans into a formidable regional power, yet his death left questions about the future direction of the state he had carefully built. And now we return to our question: how did the Ottomans transform from a small principality into a global empire? The answer lies in Orhan Ghazi's enduring legacy. Orhan's reign wasn't defined by dramatic conquest alone. It was his ability to lay the foundation of a sustainable empire that set him apart. Under his leadership, the Ottomans established their first standing army, created a governance system that balanced tradition with innovation, and gained their first foothold in Europe. His administrative reforms ensured that the empire could sustain its rapid expansion, while his diplomatic strategies allowed the Ottomans to outmaneuver their more powerful rivals. By fostering tolerance and inclusivity, Orhan created a state where diverse communities could coexist under Ottoman rule. When Orhan passed away, he left behind a state ready to embark on the next phase of its journey. His son, Murad I, would build on this foundation, leading the Ottomans to new heights, including the eventual conquest of Constantinople. Orhan's life reminds us that history isn't shaped by grand gestures alone, but by the steady, determined work of visionaries who build for the future. His story is one of ambition, resilience, and foresight, a blueprint for an empire that resonates through the ages. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the life of Orhan Ghazi. If you enjoyed this tale, don't forget to like, subscribe and hit that notification bell, so you won't miss our next dive into another one of history's greatest mysteries. Until next time, I'm the chronicler, reminding you that history is written in mystery.